Hi, I'm Keira from Being Wineful. So Being Wineful is all about being in the moment and truly enjoying wine. It's about community and connection, a space to learn in a fun and joyful way. This is not an intimidating environment. So often just a little bit of knowledge helps with building confidence and helps you understand much more about wine and your wine experience in a restaurant. I'm deeply passionate about supporting independent wine trade here in my local area, wine shops, restaurants, bars, and just making it a really vibrant and colourful place to live in. And today I'm joined by James from Palmerston. So hi James, thank you for being here, or for me being with you in your restaurant. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to setting up the Palmerston, your journey into wine?
Where am I from again? I'm from Southwest Scotland, but every newspaper said Edinburgh, which my parents get angry at. And Palmerston came about, I think, in 2018. I just got a new job somewhere in London, and I came up for the rugby. It was a South Africa game, and I had a beer with Lloyd, who'd recently moved up. I think it was 2018. And he was like, I want to open a restaurant in Edinburgh. Would you ever want to come and do it? And I was like, nah, Edinburgh. Why do that? I'll retire there one day and I'll have a family. And I went out for dinner that night. After I went to rugby, went for dinner that night, had a terrible meal in Edinburgh.
Oh.
And very few people know what that restaurant was. And I just texted them being like, is it really that hard? And it was just, I just had a really bad meal. And I then said, let's do it. And I woke up the next morning a bit hungover. I was like, oh, right, I've just taken a new job and now I'm going to move to Edinburgh. Shit. Fast forward to the June 2019. And we had a dinner at his house, a load of friends, a load of wine, and like the idea started going and going and going. And then thankfully there was a pandemic in the middle of it. So I managed
to say thankfully?
Otherwise it would have been horrible. We would have found the wrong site. We found this site because of the pandemic. So we had a site lined up that we almost signed on. And as Lloyd was flying back from Australia, I got an email saying that they pulled it. And we was like, it's the end of the world. Fast forward 6 weeks, it was the end of the world, and we didn't have a site and everything was okay. So we came across this in the June of 2020, and we dragged it out until January 21. And they're like, you either sign or you lose it. So we signed, and that was it. But I reckon if we'd done it sooner, it wouldn't be A, in this site, and B, wouldn't be kind of what it is.
Fantastic.
And that's 5 years ago.
Wow, I know, it doesn't time, I mean, it's just mad to think that was even the
flies
COVID
by.
time. Yeah, it flies by.
We'd love to say it was having fun, but it flies by.
It does fly by. And what was your journey to take you to the Palmerston then?
Prior to that, I was in London for 10 years, and I worked in Edinburgh prior to that as well. I went to university because I thought I was a dumb thing. And when you're 18, 19, you just left your parents' house. You don't want to study, you want to go out and party, which is what I did for 18 months. And I then left, and I thought to myself, like, I want to become a chef. Cause it was in the era where it was like the coolest thing in the world. Like Gordon Ramsay was on all the TV programs, and I was like eating out and fine dining was badass. So I thought about doing that, and I did a few stints in like weekends in restaurants, and I was like, not really the one for me. And then I went back home, and my dad actually contacted the GM of Hotel de Van Edinburgh, Marianne, when it first opened. I was like, look, my son, what he wants to get into hospitality, could you have a chat with him? So I had a chat with her, and she's from a town not far from where I'm from. So we just chatted about that. She was just like, yeah, if you want a job, I've got one reception. I was like, yeah, sick, sounds amazing. So I did that, and I was there for like 6 months, and all I did was like chat to people in the bars, hang out with people in the restaurant. But at one point they had pagers on it, and they put a pager on me and kind of walk around the hotel so much that they'd had to try and page me to find me to get me back. And I just kind of fell in love with hotels and like hospitality. And then I went to the restaurant side of things, and it was back in the heyday of Hotel de Van when it was like wine was its DNA still. And it's changed a lot recently. And the CEO at the time, Rob Cook, was an amazing person. I got on really well with him, and he really kind of pushed people who wanted to progress in the industry. And the likes of Ronan Sayburn and all that kind of like MS crew were kind of always in the hotel, and it was like, people breathed wine. I was like, what is this thing? Like, and just kind of, it's funny, it's just that kind of like really got me interested in it. Raman, who was our head sommelier, who then went down to London at the same time as I did, was really into his wine, and he'd always throw a glass of wine at people and like, try this, try that. I remember him giving a glass of wine to Mars, who was in reception. And I was like, what's that? He's like, you wouldn't bother eat with that with you. And I was like, what? He was like, you wouldn't appreciate it. And I remember this thing having this. I remember this bottle that he poured, and it had a yellow mount on it. I was like, what is this wine? And it took me about 5 years to realize it's Ganavat. And I was like, I tried it years ago, and I was like, it was insane. I just could not figure out what it was. And it's just that working in that hotel, working in that kind of environment, and then moving down to London to work for them and open their bistros. It was just like wine was at the kind of like heart and soul of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it started. And
Lovely.
then just like London, just like slowly like built up in various places as people you meet, who you hang out with, like what places you drink. And I say to a lot of people that 2010, 2011 through to like 2015, London was really at its peak.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these people that are in restaurants who have left big jobs to then went to do loads of pop-ups, and Sagan Wild just opened up, and there was a real like buzz in the city, especially people in like their early and mid-20s. It was like a real, everyone was like pushing for something different, and it was amazing to be part of. And I was just like sat like on the sidelines watching this all unfold.
Brilliant.
I was just like, this is amazing. I just kind of got caught up in the whole thing.
That's great. And so where were you with Hotel de Van before you moved back up to Edinburgh, or did you kind of work in various places?
I worked, so Hotel de Van moved one to open bistros in London.
Yeah.
I then emailed Robert Cook, who was the CEO at the time, said I want to open them. Can I get a job? And he was just like, okay, let me get you in contact with the guy who's going to actually open them, the GM. I spoke to him on the phone. He was like, yeah, move down. He offered me a tiny salary because that's what he got at then, but I thought I was an absolute rock star. So I went down and worked for them, was them for a year. And then I remember seeing this article on, I don't know what the site was, it was one of those, like, it was not Eater, because I don't think it was out yet. It might have been a Hot Dinners. And it was about this duo who opened up a fine dining restaurant and a hot dog and champagne bar. I was like, that sounds cool. So I just randomly, I messaged them saying, hey, do you want to kind of have a chat? I'd be interested to find out what's going on. And that's when I met Sandy and James. And I had an interview with Sandia, and then got the job working for them, helped them open up Kitchen Table, and then ran Bubble Dogs, and just got thrown in the deep end, learned about champagne and whatnot. But that's because of what that was and that time in London in like 2012. There was just a big focus on that restaurant, and a lot of restaurants opened up around it. So we had everyone came into the restaurant, and because of the background as well. I remember going to the Mad Symposium in Copenhagen and meeting all these crazy chefs who had only seen the TV and only read about it. I was like, what is going on here? And being like 22, 23, maybe a bit older then, I was just like, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
And it really kind of at that point, I kind of got to meet loads of people. And I was there for 3 years, and then worked for another JKS site when they just opened Bao, so I needed a bit of time just to be like, okay, what am I doing? And then thought I was going to leave the country. And my best mate worked, he was the head smell at the Ledbury. He was like, Brett's looking for a GM to run the Harwood Arms. And I was like, can't really say no to work for Brett Graham. So I ended up working there, and then I worked for Bonnie Gull after that, and then I was meant to open this place, but the pandemic stopped me.
Yeah.
So I sat on my sofa and played Call of Duty for about a year. Great. And that's why I needed the pandemic, so I could just like
so you could just decompress
honestly,
for a bit of time.
Everyone's like, it was a horrible thing, and it was what happened, but it was like the one time where all the people I knew had been working stupid hours for like years, just got told to sit on their arse and do nothing. And that's what a lot of people did, and it was class.
But hospitality is a really tough profession because, you know, you do work all hours, you are on your feet a lot. Even customer engagement all the time can be really exhausting, and you got to do it for the love of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what keeps people in it. So I can completely understand why having that break would have been really useful.
It was amazing, like, because I was like to say, just sit down and because I was just like, I'll try to figure this out, and they'll try to figure that out.
Well, now one of the questions I've got later on, but I'm going to say it now because it's kind of like, what did you drink while you were playing Call of Duty?
I was very fortunate that my girlfriend at the time would buy loads of wine. Yeah. And it was when we drank so much champagne, because a very good friend of ours who owns Winemakers Club we just basically ordered some him, get delivered to the house, we just sit and just drink champagne, and I'd play Call of Duty.
I think that might be your pants wine, but we can ask that again later on.
That's one of them. But it's funny because it's just like, because there's nothing to do in the day apart from, and all these small importers who are just like, let's buy wine from this, let's buy wine from this person. I remember Christmas, I just emailed Damo, who was at Swig at the time. And I was like, I want to try all these wines. And he just said, how much you want to spend? And I got like 9 bottles of wine to drink the Christmas by myself. I was like, this is class.
I love it. I love it. Tell me about the kind of most formative memory. So you mentioned about the bottle that the sommelier brought over to you when you were at reception. Would you say it was that occasion that kind of really flipped your mind, or was there a different moment in your wine journey?
There's a lot. So there's lots of various wines, and I think everyone goes through the stages of being like, oh, Malbec's class, this is what I drink, because I kind of see things like that, and certain other things maybe talk about later. Big, bold flavors are easy to associate with. So when people start with whiskey, they love Islay, because it's so smoky, like, it's a flavor I can detect. So when it's something that's quite in your face, it's easy. So I went through a stage of like thinking an absolute baller drinking all these wines when I knew nothing. But I do remember at Bubba Dogs, there was some supplier brought in David Liquor Part L'Artiste 05 or 06. And I remember he opened it, I tasted it, I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was just, the way he makes it, it's like half stainless steel, half barrel. And it's slowly oxidized, so it has this kind of sherry-esque thing to it. Oh, wow. And it's also in a lot of the wines I was chasing, like the wines of the Jura, and I was like, what is this thing? And that sticks out in my head as one of these wines I was like, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And like, I've still got some bottles of it, and I'm just like, it's insane.
And I love those memories that you attach to wine. I think what's so wonderful about wine, like the same with music and a sense of place and time, is that real, it really captivates you to where you were. So either it's like the wine might not even be amazing, but there was something you were doing at the time, or the company you were keeping, and it can really hold that association. Do you have any of those kind of really poignant moments where you thought, oh, that's a game changer?
No, I think I've been quite fortunate in the people that I've kind of like been around. And there's been a lot of amazing wines that have been drank, but they haven't been what people would perceive as the best wines in the world, but it is the company.
It is, yeah. And
like Seamus, who's one of my best mates, we used to drink all the time, and it was like 2015, I'd just become single, and I remember him texting me, being like, do you want to come and drink a Magnum at On Duet and have some cheese? And I walked up and I was like, where's this Magnum? He's like, it's in the fridge, we're drinking this bottle of wine first. And we shared so many bottles of wine just every Sunday, because it was just like, what else do you do?
Yeah.
And it's just like things like that, and like certain restaurants in London that no longer exists, just like things you drank in there, it's just like, and the access we had to wines back then as well, it's insane. And like the price that we were paying in restaurants is insane compared to what we're paying now.
Yeah, and do you think anything else has changed apart from obviously duty and taxes? Is there anything else that's kind of added onto that price? Hype, okay.
Hype in the second market has really messed with the system.
Okay.
Like I remember for the first time drinking Pierre Auvernois, and I bought a bottle of it from Whole Foods, and now you cannot find it for a lot of money. And like, if you find it in a restaurant and it's like 250 quid a bottle, that's a bargain.
Wow.
Whereas it goes for hundreds and hundreds. And I remember the first time I tasted that wine, I went to Whole Foods and I bought a bottle, and it was 25 quid.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh!
Because Whole Foods used to have their own like wine manager, so they had complete carte blanche to what they bought. And one of the big suppliers was Le Cave and FMV. So like all the wines that I was loving were in Whole Foods. So I was like, what is going on here?
That's crazy.
And it was class. And like back then as well, before wines became so allocated and limited, you'd basically be able to email a supplier and say, hey, you got any of this? I want to try it. And he was like, how much you want to spend? And you're like, 300 quid. And here's 9 bottles of this, or here's 9 bottles of that. Yeah. And I'm like, what's this thing with tax? Why am I paying this? Can I not pay the VAT? He's like, no, you're an idiot. I was like, sick, I can try some great wine. But I think hype, and also people getting into it more as well. Yeah. Like social media has got so many people you wouldn't expect into wine, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's making it more accessible, and I suppose that's the whole thing about this particular series, interviewing sommeliers and wine experts, is to try and reduce the intimidation that people feel so that it becomes more accessible, so people that are walking in don't feel intimidated, and that you can put them at ease, and they can really help understand and navigate the wine list. And one of the things I wanted to do before we came on to this, that we're going to have a wee taste of, I've always wondered, how do you keep your wine list here? Because I'm like, wow, they've got this like Margaux, Chateau, or whatever you've got in Bordeaux, and I'm like, how come it's like a really reasonable price? What is it that you do with your list?
Wines are for drinking.
I love that. I mean, honestly, it's very rare. that's the case, because I have sat up at your bar and I've had one of those Bordeaux and I've been blown away.
Yeah. I had there was once a few years ago, and I had a Rayas allocation came in, and someone was like, "Oh, I've got that as well." I was like, "Oh, how much did you sell it for?" And it was Rayas 12, and it was just like, "Oh, about £900, but I'm going to put it up to 1,100." I was like, "He's like, you?" I was like, 512. He's like, "How?" I was like, "Because it's for drinking. It's not for hoarding and waiting for some really rich person to buy." Yeah, but that's almost cost price. I'm like, "It's definitely not. I'm still making good money off it."
Yeah.
He's like, "I just don't understand that." I was like, "Well, I've sold all 3 bottles in a week. You've probably got yours still sitting there, no one's buying it, and you want to put the price up." So that's what we've done for such a long time. And again, like when Sager first opened, I felt like everything was a cash margin. So you go in there, and I've drank some amazing bottles of wine there, and it's cost us very little money. And I just don't think that happens as much anymore.
No.
And like, I'd rather make the same amount of money on a £700 bottle of wine that I do off a £30 bottle of wine. Because at the same time, it's the same pleasure people are having. Just one person can afford a really expensive bottle, and they know when they come here. We got people that come, they know how good the high end is and the value of it. So they'll come and they're like, "Okay, I want to drink this, this, and this," because they know they've got a deal, because it's cheaper than you can buy it in a shop or you can buy it online.
Yeah, I've always been really impressed with that, James, and I think one of the reasons that I've really enjoyed having a look at the wine list, seeing what you've got on, and being like, how? Because compared to so many other places, as you say, the margin is, they'll either do this kind of standard 2 or 3 times the price, whereas I love the fact that you're just adding on the margin onto that original cost price. And I think that's really rare, and I applaud you for that, because it does allow, especially people that love their wine, who can't afford, I put myself in that category, can't afford to come and have a £500 bottle of wine. It's just so pleasurable to come and enjoy something at a really high class.
That's it. And we buy from certain people that buy private sellers, and there's a few people I know that work with certain people. It's quite funny, because Fergus, who was at Keira and now in Melbourne, who I used to know loosely through a friend and got to know very well from when I was at Edinburgh, he was like, "You buy from so-and-so, don't you?" And I was like, "Yep." He's like, "All right, keep it hush." I'm like, "Yep, I will, don't worry." But it's like, you can buy, like I think the best value wines I've had in a long time is like mid-80s Bordeaux. Like when I was younger, someone said to me, "When you're hitting your mid-30s, you'll be loving like Wheelville Barton 80s and 90s." I'm like, "Who is this prick? like, why is he drinking all this wine? Drink cool wine." And like, no joke, like pound for pound, some of the best wines I've drank in the last 2 or 3 years.
That's
and they're
amazing.
always consistent.
Amazing. That's
like
really
the crew,
good.
like, I remember we had a bottle for Lloyd's 40th. So it was me, James Clark from Soto, Tom Platt, who's at Liberty, and Lloyd. We went to Lila. Stuart very kindly let us BYO.
Nice.
A bottle of 86, the Crew Bouquet U, and I was like, "Lloyd, I bought it 5 years ago." I was like, "Hold that for my birthday."
Amazing.
And he forgot about it. And I popped open that afternoon to make sure it was clean, put the cork back in it, and just let it slowly open up for like 8 hours. And then we had it over dinner, and it was like knockout. And I was just like, it's one of those wines where I was like, if, again, 18 to 20-year-old James was like, "Oh my God." Whereas now I'm just like, nah, that's what I want to drink.
That's what I like to drink as well. I'm going to get my hands on it. That sounds brilliant. So before we move on and ask any other questions, we're going to do a little bit of a fun, I hope you think it's fun anyway, some blind tasting. So I have got you a bottle. This bottle is a bottle that I have served up at my own wine events. So I'll do them at the wine tasting events. It's always been a bit of a crowd pleaser. And so I'd love to get you to take us through how you would assess a wine with the idea of identification. Doesn't matter if we completely get it right or not, but it's just, just to kind of allow the viewers to understand what is it that you would do in order to help identify what this wine is.
Very good question. I'd want to know my block nose, but I think the process of like blind tasting, we do it a lot with friends, is like it's the process of what is it not, to try and get yourself to what it is. And also getting to the point where it's like just having the confidence to call something out and knowing that you're probably going to get it wrong. And I think that's a lot of the time like people don't like do that, and they like freak out and they overthink it. And I'm one of those people that overthinks it. So I think it's something completely random. But it's like working your way back, and the way we do it when we do it with a lot of friends every month, to try and break down that kind of like stigma of the kind of Red Trouser Brigade try to do wine tasting, and it's very stiff and a little bit.
Yes.
Whereas we do it and we get a takeaway and we just sit. You bring a bottle of wine. Sometimes people nail it straight away. Sometimes people don't. Some people get it completely wrong. Pardon me. Some people disagree and have a massive argument. But not an argument, but like, I remember.
Impassioned discussion.
Yeah, but I can't remember. I think it was Glenn brought a Molyneux Syrah, and I was tasting it. I was talking about Syrahs and like one of the greatest Syrahs I think at the moment, Porcelainberg, and he was like, this is amazing. What is this? He's like, it's clearly not the only good Syrah, is it? And I was like, all right, I'll take that. But again, it's just like, I think there's too much of a stigma behind it. It's just like.
Yeah, and I think it should be fun, right? So I think the idea behind this as well is to kind of break down those barriers of the stuffiness, the pretentiousness that goes into wine, and have a little bit of fun with it. And I totally agree about calling it out, because if I don't call out my straight away, the first thing I get on the nose or what I'm tasting, I'll overthink it, and then I actually don't say it. And then say I'm in class or something and somebody else says it, I'm like, but I thought that.
Yeah, I've had it once in the car. It happens loads, but I remember being in the car on the way to Northern Rhone last year, and we're with a group of friends, and one was like, "What's that Chateau producer?" And I was like, "I bet you Chardonnay he's thinking of." In my head, I was like, "I bet you Chardonnay." He's like, "I can't remember it." So he goes, Chardonnay. I was like, "Why did I not just say it?"
Yeah.
Like, why did I just say what I think it was? And
like you said, I think it's okay if that is a daft thing, because in a way we all smell things differently, we all taste things differently. And also, as I was saying to somebody the other day, if you've never tasted that particular note that somebody else says to you, I mean, like, do you remember how many lychees do we eat, right? So until you've tasted lychee, you're like, now I get it. I don't go around eating lychees ever.
Have you read I read the book Rajat Par wrote called like The Secret of the Smelly or something like that. It's a very, very good book.
Okay.
And he's got an insane palate, but he's just like, everywhere you go, sniff things. You've got to, because it's all about association. Like, I think that tastes like a blueberry compote, or like a yogurt, but then someone might think it tastes like something completely different. It doesn't mean that I'm right and they're wrong, or vice versa.
Yeah. Like, is that what you're getting on the nose on this one?
Yeah, it gives that kind of like blue fruit and like.
Yeah, that's a good
like
shout.
yogurtiness to it. But I always have. I got some friends of mine who just said, "You have the most random tasting notes," and was like, if it tastes like a yogurt, like a lower crunch, I'm just like, that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, don't try and pretend it's not.
Yeah, I know. We're not doing our exams here. So let's go for the palate then and see what we're getting. Oh, yeah.
It's nice.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Bit of age to it.
Yeah. And what you get, I mean, it's quite acidic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a nice acid to it, and it's got kind of like savouriness to it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so, you know, that process of saying what it's not, so probably a lot of things we could say what it's not. What are you starting to lean towards around here? I know.
Good
and
question.
This is the thing about wine as well, and for all these interviews that I've had, if a winemaker decides to, say it's like a Sauvignon Blanc, and they decide to like age it in oak and do malolactic fermentation, it can throw you completely because it's not got that primary aromatics that you would expect from a Sauvignon Blanc. So I think wine tasting now is becoming harder and harder because of all the experimentation
it's crazy, isn't it?
in winemaking. But yeah, so what is a kind of, with your detective skills, are you thinking around?
I'm thinking older world, cooler climate.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason I was kind of like leaning towards something Austrian, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we're just a bit further south, I'd say, from that. But you're in the right.
It has that kind of Zweigelt nose where it's lots of bright fruit, and then I always think it has this like yogurty. Mm-hmm. Like I always think the Zweigelt was like very spicy raspberry yogurt.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean actually. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I can see why you've gone
like
down that road.
Or something, is it?
Sorry?
It's not like Wild Frankish or something, is it?
No, but it's very like it. It's very like it. Now you've put that in my head. Now I know exactly what it is. So it tastes like I'm expecting it to taste. However, I think it is quite like Black Frankish, and that's a really good shout.
It's barbecue wine.
Yeah. So let's think about going for a slightly further south.
Where was that? Hungary?
South again, maybe to the.
Oh, my geography's terrible.
Yeah. I'm happy to reveal.
Go on.
you were in an Italian wine bar last night.
Ah, of course.
This is, we call it the Tall Italian, Montepulciano.
See, did not have a clue.
But listen, so difficult. And also, have you had that one before?
Never.
I think it's got this really nice, bright, fresh acidity.
Mark de Van.
Yeah.
Big up Philippe.
Yeah, big up Philippe for that one. And we have, like I said, we use
cool
that in
label as
tasting events. It's really nice. Now, from memory, I think it's Three Sisters, the vineyard. And
like
I think there might be, yes. And my
where I grew up used to be a nuclear power station.
And that's what it looks like.
So where they had 4 chimneys.
Yeah. So this, my friends and I that do the wine tasting events, they provide all the cheese down in Peebles, milled in pickles, and we call it our Tall Italian. So that always comes along to a lot of the events because I think as well for a red, it also pairs pretty nicely with some of the harder cheeses as well. So yeah, do you like it?
It's nice.
Yeah. This is yours, my friend, for
Thank
after. So let's move on to some of the other bits and pieces.
That's the hardest part over.
That is the hardest part. You can relax now. Have as much as you like to drink as well.
I'm driving, so let's pretend I'm not.
I think you get a point. I think you could say it's barbecue wine. I mean,
Yeah, barbecue wine's good. Yeah, it's perfect. And actually, it is like a Blaufränkisch.
Yeah.
That was a really good
that
shout.
like smokiness to you. Blaufränkisch that's like
I thought that was spot on. It's got that. Do you know when the fruit is almost really compressed together? Yeah. It's like got that real skin contact element to it. It's quite dark. You can see a little bit through it, but it's in between opaque and translucent.
Yeah.
But it's got that. I know exactly what you meant actually when you said that. So when people come into the Palmerston and your kind of ethos, what do you do to help put them at ease? If they're looking at your wine list, they're not sure where to start, or even you can get the overconfident ones as well. Yeah, like how do you approach all the different types of customers that you get into your bar?
The hardest thing in the
restaurant. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Because a little bit of knowledge does not go a long way.
So what I was saying at the start doesn't.
Honestly.
Sometimes a little bit of knowledge can take them too far the wrong way.
You just think they know everything, and the worst times you get people that come in and they don't want to take recommendations from a woman.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I'm just like, can you get the smelly? And they'll be like, I'm the one that writes, well, not me, but like Rebecca writes me there's a wine list. Or like Martin that works here is like 21, is a sponge and knows a lot more about wine than a lot of people.
I think Martin might have served me. She was phenomenal.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, really good.
Like, incredible, and just like is a sponge when it comes to wine.
Brilliant.
Did her WSC2 the other day, and I think she got like 93% in it. She's doing a level 3 right now.
Bravo.
And I was like, Martha, I was like, depending on what percentage you get, I'll take you out for lunch. You can choose any wine in the wine list. She went, any wine? And I was like, yep, any wine in the wine list. And she's like, what if I ever get like 100% at Coast 2? I was like, we'll talk about that. Christmas Eve, she came up and said, I've just sold the wine I was going to drink. I was like, what is that? And it was Coach Merceau 11. I was like, oh, fuck, you sold that? I wasn't taking that for dinner with you. We get in a lot of people that are very, very nice at this restaurant. And again, because we're so busy. I've had people in the past who work here who they see the wine list and think, oh, you must be selling amazing wine all the time. Yeah, but the volume of people we do, and maybe like 20% of it drinks really nice wine. You need to remember the rest of it are just here because they want to enjoy the whole experience, and not everyone is into wine like we are. But like it's kind of like making people feel comfortable and just like, look, what do you like?
Yeah.
What do you not like?
Yeah.
And if someone just says, I want to drink Sauvignon Blanc, I'm like, sick, we can find a wine for you then. But when someone's like, oh, I like this, I like that, but I want this, and you're like, what do you want? And I had it the other day, it wasn't with me, I think it was Katie. And this guy was just like, oh, I want to drink this. And she's like, well, we don't have that. Like, can you give me some recommendations? Well, I'll have that instead. She's like, well, can you just tell me what you want to drink or any ideas and I can help you out? He's like, no. He was like, if you speak to the people that have written the wine list, like we know what's going on.
I know, that's it. Yeah.
And like, we can be like, look, I've got this and this. You like drinking X? I've got Y. It's 20 quid cheaper. Yeah. And you probably never touched it in your life. And they're like, sick, let's go.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of people who come in, they know what they want, and they'll just go for it.
Yeah. But I do think, just to that point, I think that people really close themselves off to a really open and curious wine experience when they don't
have a conversation.
When they don't have that conversation. So when they're really closed and sort of really point to something, then it is disappointing when they're not open to that. Because I think to get the most out of the customer experience, being open to what you guys have said, the wine list inside out. We don't know the wine list when we come in. That's the best part.
Yeah, and it's just like having an open conversation and realizing that, no, it might not have everything that you want in it. Like we had someone give us feedback the other day saying that we didn't have any Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc on by the glass, which would have made their meal even better. I was like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, if we just put on by the glass, we want to put it by the glass. If you want to drink something like that, we could have found something for you.
Yes. Yeah.
But there is this like barrier where people are just like scared to. They find wine intimidating because it is an absolute like completely different thing. Where it's like you don't even scratch the surface half the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like having people who are confident enough to be like, I don't know much, but this is what I do like.
Yes.
And we'll get there.
Yeah. Exactly.
My other half thinks all French wines are terrible. So he's too nuanced. I'm like, what do you like? So I want big, new world flavours. And then the idea was like, try Viognier from Northern Rhone. She was like, this is class. I was like, told you fresh wines is good. And it's just like, but it's just like, she's just like, I just don't know these things. And she's trying these things like, that's actually class, that's class.
Yeah.
And it's just like people come along for the ride. And you can make it fun. And like people that come in and you're going to get them on your side and you kind of like have a bit of fun and you can put trust in them. And when people are scared, you can be like, look, I know you're going a bit above your budget. Like, and that's the one that really annoys me. Is like people are too scared to be like, I want to spend.
Well, I was going to ask you about price actually, and about how do you approach price with customers?
Most people, it's a taboo. They're like,
exactly.
Don't talk about what you want to spend. I'm like, no, tell me what you want to spend. Because I can go, here's X, which is cheaper. Here, X is on the money, and here's Y, which I'm going to tell you loads about, which is a little bit more expensive. You'll probably buy it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's when people have come in and they just say, okay, this is my budget. We got someone that comes quite often who's now a good friend, and he basically just like, right, I don't really know what I want to drink, but between 60 and 80 today, red, you choose.
Nice.
And we kind of know what they kind of really like, and you're like, cool, have this or this. And like 9 times out of 10, they're like, perfect.
Yeah.
Or like, if they're going to spend like loads of money on wine, they know exactly what they've been drinking.
Brilliant.
They've been waiting to drink it for weeks, or like they've messaged me being like, I remember we had an event on last weekend for Burns Night, and I put on some Clos Rougeard, just a straight Chamber-Sempany, 19, and I was away with with Lee, and I showed him the wine list and the price I was going to charge for it. He was like, I've never drank that wine before, and you're not selling to anyone apart from me. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, and the stuff like that happens all the time where people are like, oh, you've got this in, or we've got someone that comes in and loves champagne, and they'll message me like, hey, what have you got in the cellar that's not on the list? I'm like, do you want A, B, or C? And he was like, I'll have the first one, but don't put the other 2 away because I might drink them as well. I'm like, sick.
Okay, that's good.
So it's just, honestly, it's a conversation that everyone needs to have, and I think people need to be more open. And like, if you know nothing, perfect. If you know loads, perfect.
Yeah.
Just chat to us and be like, we can guide you to spend. Because the awkward one is when you try and recommend wine to someone who you haven't quite figured out, and you like recommend them like on the lower end, if you think, okay, maybe this is their budget, and all of a sudden they spend like 150 quid on a bottle of wine. I was like, can you just tell me this is what you want to do, rather than have this game of chicken?
Yeah.
Like, come on, we can do this.
Be quite open. I would love to just address very quickly, and it's probably just a little indulgence of mine, having ran tasting events as well, is the kind of tends to be older men actually who don't like to be told by a female. And I have been, and all the times that I have been somebody's second guessing me or it's been that, and it's been I've got more knowledge than you. And I think for a female in the industry coming through, that is a really difficult thing to navigate, because it can come across really combative. And actually all you're doing as somebody who's trying to help with the experience and serving is have a nice conversation. You're not there to have an argument with somebody. You're there so that they can have a good time. And actually, that was my bee in the bonnet. I wanted to get that off my chest.
It's just a lot of super French dick swinging for them.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And like, they're the worst people in the world. It's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, I want to speak to so-and-so. And I'm like, no, you can speak to...
speak to who you were.
Speak to the person who's serving you.
Yeah.
And you really dive into wine. You can speak to someone who knows a bit more.
Yes.
And half of them are women and half of them are men.
I know.
Like, you don't need to speak to.
I agree. Thanks for allowing me to say my bit on that one as well. So.
It does my absolute agony. It's just like, come on,
Yeah.
And again, they're the ones that have a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah. Oh, so I know what you mean by that. It's like a little bit taken the wrong way as opposed to the right way to have a decent conversation. What are some of your top food and wine pairing tips? And do you go in for food and wine pairing to start with? No.
Eat something you like, drink something you like.
Okay, perfect.
I for such a long time was like, oh, you must pair this with this and that with that. And I met Sandia Chang and she was like, just drink something you really like and eat something you really like.
Yeah.
It's double the pleasure.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to hone in like, oh, this food goes well with the beetroot. And I'm like, shut up. Like, just drink a really nice bottle of wine you want to drink and then eat whatever you want to eat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great take. I am probably still in the arena of this goes really nicely with this
it's
because
amazing when it
X,
works.
Y, and Z, you know. But I am curious as to, especially when you are running a restaurant as well, is how much emphasis goes into the food and wine pairing part or not.
Zero.
Great.
Like, you can say it goes well with something, and a lot of wines do go well with various foods.
Yeah.
But again, it's just all about enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get gout, do it properly. Like, don't pair it with the crystals on your toes, pair it with what you're eating.
So what do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when they're ordering wine?
Not having a conversation, overthinking it.
Perfect. Great.
It is, because it's like, I always say as well, people see a wine list and you get intimidated. And it's the one that really frustrates me is when people are like, why have you got so many wines on your list? Like, who buys wine for £500 a bottle? I'm like, well, someone does. Just let me know how much you want to spend on a bottle of wine. Like, when people criticise a wine list because they're like, it's ridiculous you have so many wines on your list. I'm like, it's not. Just tell me where
it caters for a lot of people,
yeah,
doesn't it? And a lot of price ranges.
Kind of what we try and do for the restaurant. It's like,
I love
we're
it.
catering for so many people.
Yeah.
Just because you don't want to spend that much money.
Yeah.
I remember once a friend told me about a family friend of theirs that has, and he was saying he envies the person that has found that £20 bottle of wine that they love and they drink it all the time.
Yeah.
Because he's gone down his rabbit hole drinking really expensive wines and he can't get out of it.
Yeah.
And he's chasing this thing where they found it and they're saving so much more money than he's saving.
Yeah.
But it's just like, some people find it straight away and off they go.
Yeah.
Some people will never find it.
Yeah.
They're
And
like,
also it does depend on what mood you're in. You might not have the same budget on a Tuesday night as you do on a Saturday night or even a special occasion. So
it's the mood of the company. It's like some people save up money to come spend a nice bottle of wine. Some people can do it every day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes those special bottles special because they aren't consumed all the time. And therefore you're kind of looking forward in anticipation for some of those as well, which is great. So it's nice to have that on the list.
Yeah, exactly.
The full range.
The full rainbow.
Yeah.
So do you, wait, Holly, sorry, supplemental question.
Yeah.
So have you found your 20 golden?
No.
No.
Well, actually, you know what? There's some wines out there that we went, so this is the second year in a row I've been, and there's a wine fair in Onpuy in the Northern Room, and it's basically all Condry and all Cote Roti producers. There's like 70 people in a gym hall, and it's the kind of place that's on for 4 days, and you see...
Is that Northern Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see all these guys who have their trolleys stacked with wine, and they go basically buy their wine for the year, chuck it in the back of the car, and drive back down. Taste all these amazing producers. And last year, we found this producer who was he was with Bot, and it's a guy, and he's just like he basically is he sells all the best grapes like Ogier and everyone, and they're like these are his wines. And I remember tasting it. I was like, what on earth is this? Like, this is so good, and it's like €15 ex sellers, and like we go back every year now.
Oh, brilliant!
Every year, second year I went was this year, and they just stock up. And the wines are like, you'd be tasting stupid wines all weekend, and this wine's just like got that energy, that power.
Oh, nice.
And it's just, it's so well, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And like, it's the one thing we look forward to. And it's like, friends of mine that go and they drink, on their way they were drinking Rayas and everything, and that's like the one wine they're like, this
That's so good, isn't it? It doesn't
it's
always
just,
have to be expensive, does it?
Yeah,
To
it's
have
just fine.
a great wine.
Yeah, one of the best wines we have in that trip is basically tasting his IGP Viognier Syrah, and they're €15 cost.
Brilliant.
And it's just like...
But some of the great ones don't even make it out of the country, do they?
No.
Yeah. Because I remember going to one of the Rhone tastings, and I was trying some of the Rhone wines that rarely make it out, and I was like, these are exquisite.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like French keeping it for themselves, or just literally there isn't really a market for it here, or whatever it may be.
That's what this guy was just like, people can come, they can buy it off me and off they go. I don't make enough wine.
Yeah.
He made a Condry in 2025, I'm like, how much are you making? He's like, I've got those 2 barrels.
Oh, wow.
I'll make 600 bottles.
Wow.
I was like, sick, I'll come get some next year.
Yeah, brilliant. You know where you're going.
Like they just don't come in. And that's like
And
the
do you
fun.
sell them here afterwards
No.
as well? No, it's just for your private
I've
collection.
got my current allocation in what a friend of mine calls my Norwich bedroom. Because he's got his daughter left moved out of the house, and he turned his daughter's room into a wine cellar.
Right.
And that's whenever we go down, he goes there. He's like, I've lodged it there for you, and I'll get it delivered to Edinburgh very soon.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that's one of those wines where it's just like, you can bring to a party with like your mates, and they're like, what is this? And like, this is a 15-year bottle of wine from France. It doesn't come into the country.
Yeah.
And the wines are so good.
That's so good.
And you're just like, and I think as well, a lot of people are like, oh, what when people ask about wine highlights and whatnot, they just think of the best bottle they've ever drank, and the most expensive, the most iconic ones, but most of them are disappointing. Because they come with a price tag and a lot of hype.
And a lot of anticipation that they're going to be amazing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you sit in a glass being like, I need to figure out how I can enjoy this. Whereas things that pop and off you go and delicious are the best wines. Yeah. And I think like you read so many things with like, oh, this is the iconic wine I've had here, I've had this, I've had that. I'm like, sure, it was amazing. But like, find value these days. It's more exciting than being like, I can afford to spend £100.
I would agree. I think finding the value in wines, and actually the other, one of the lists that actually Stu Skier has put together in Vinette, the place, I found a fabulous Spanish wine there. I honestly can't even remember the grape now. I was blown away by it. You had it as well, Ed. And we were like, wow, what is this? And it wasn't like really expensive, but it was so unusual, so unique, and it was like this kind of incredible savory. And that'll stay with me because it was kind of unusual. Yeah. I kind of felt like we got a good bargain at the same time. So you don't feel like you've left the end of the restaurant meal like, oh, I've just been ripped off. You know, I actually felt like we'd had a great experience and we didn't overspend.
That's the thing, especially when you're overseas, what a lot of us like to do is like, this is our budget. Find me something that doesn't come into the UK. Yeah. I want to taste it.
Yeah, I think that's
great. And it was like, couldn't have this, and this. Yeah,
which is perfect. So let's move on to your favourite grape. If you were to choose one grape for the rest of time, what would it be and why?
It's hard. Don't know. That's hard. I think, again, recently, up until 2023, I didn't think Viognier was great. And I thought it was aromatic and horrible. And I went to...
aromatic and horrible.
Yeah, and I went to Northern Rhone. During the World Cup, we drove from Nîmes all the way up through to Beaujolais and back in a camper van. Brilliant. And we stopped off in Condry a couple of times. And I remember just being there and actually tasting wine. I was like, oh, right, yeah, this makes sense now. So I've like drank a lot of like Viognier recently, but Chenin Blanc is what I could go to if it's like, it makes some incredible
French
wines.
Chenin Blanc or elsewhere?
Oh, everywhere. Yeah. South Africa, like the Loire, everywhere. It's just like, you can, it's just such a versatile grape.
Good value as well, quite
often.
Good
value, and it's just delicious.
Yeah. Very versatile as well. Yeah. And it's got that sort of racy acidity, but with the qualities of a bit of the Chardonnay as well. It's a very quaffable wine. It is. I wanted to use that word, by the way.
It is very quaffable.
What do you think is quite an obscure grape that you reckon people should know about?
I'm not got a Scooby-Doo. I do always enjoy it when people are at wine tastings and our wine events, and like a winemaker talks about their Scooby. It's like, oh God, that's my favourite. And you're like, no, it's not. You've never heard of this. Like, you've only just heard them say it. You want to be like, yeah, it's me. I know of it. It's wine. You just sit there like, nah, you don't. I don't know. I'll come back to that.
That's fine. We'll come back to that one. Just shout it out when it comes to you. Best bang for your buck. That could be region. That could be type of grape. Something like that.
This winemaker that's in the Northern Rhone that I buy wine from every single January.
Fantastic.
And it's 15 years a bottle, and it is insane.
Share the details. Just for me. I won't share them widely. What's your favourite region, if you had to name one?
Don't know. It's hard. I have like kind of hopped around quite a bit. In 2012, it was like champagne for quite a while because of Bubble Dogs. You just kind of got that drilled into you, and we drank some amazing champagne. And then I've always had this thing where I've just loved that. And recently going to the Northern Rhone and the Rhone, it's been beautiful. I've travelled around it quite a bit recently.
Brilliant.
That's class. I love South Africa.
Yeah.
And quite a good few friends based out there make wine, and
fantastic.
the people and when they did this road trip for the World Cup, a lot of the South African winemakers came over for it.
Oh, nice.
And it's just, I just love their energy. I love the energy of their wines. I love what they're doing. It's just, yeah, that's kind of like my kind of two things. Like, I'd hit regional France. I know that's not really a region, it's just the whole of France.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's my favourite region.
I've kind of zoned in on the Rhone recently.
Yeah.
And if not, I've got South Africa.
Brilliant.
And it's just like...
Great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. What's your favourite wine to drink at home in your pants?
During lockdown, I drank a lot of champagne at home in my pants.
I think that's the perfect answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do a quick fire round. So it's going to be things like overrated, underrated. It can be regions or types of wine or what have you. Overrated.
What's overrated? The use of the word natural wine.
Aha, underrated.
Very good champagne. Tell you what's underrated. Non-vintage Grand Marque, like just regular cuvées with a lot of age to it.
Yeah.
I remember I had a bottle of Bollinger. I did a tasting with like the likes of Glen and all that, and this blind tasting thing. It was all about champagne, and I'm very much an advocate for grower champagne. I'm like, man, Grand Marques, go away. I bought a bottle of Bollinger, which was just a special cuvée from the 80s. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Oh, nice. And it was very cheap.
Yeah, good.
Like stuff like that with a bit of age is like.
So where do you get these kind of like, you know, is it because that's out of fashion a bit for the majority of people, or you got the right contacts, right?
It's the same person that Fergus Watson went, I know where you buy that from.
Okay,
and honestly, it's cheap.
Yeah,
we had it. I brought down. It was a bottle of Louis Roederer, and on the side of it, it said it was reserved for Nazi Germany. So it was a bottle from like the 40s and whatnot.
Wow.
And my mate who is like a history geek. We opened it, and it was like the second night of this big long boozy weekend that we do, and it kind of just got lost, but it still had this freshness to it. It was pretty insane. It was super developed.
From the 40s?
Yeah, and it was just like, we just...
Did it have fizz on it still?
Touch.
Yeah, okay.
But the best thing to do with that is get a current release and use that as a dosage, and it brings a bit of life back to it.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, okay, good tip.
But stuff like that, it's like, I've gone now where it's like chasing these wines to be like, what's something obscure you can find on this random list from this guy that's selling? You're going, that's way too cheap, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
And you just roll the dice and hope for the best.
That's fun though. That's really fun. Trying things that...
And most of those wines aren't expensive.
Yeah.
And like trying certain wines from like winemakers now that, I remember we had friends in and we had a bottle of Rustenburg Syrah 2004. And it's when Adi was working there, and obviously now Badenhorst, and it was completely shagged. It wasn't great, but it was fun to try a wine that he would have made. Yeah. And my mate texted me, he's like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be great. I was like, you know what, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't great, but it was just like, you know what, give
Still
it a shot.
Still a talking point, it's a bit of fun, and something you do together. Natural wine, yes or no?
I think that wine is not a natural product, because it's a man-made thing. Mm-hmm. Like people intentionally planted grapes. Yeah. So I think what's happened these days is people have got this tagline, again, a little bit of knowledge. Yeah. Completely ruins people. And they think that natural wine's a thing. Yeah. And people go, have you got natural wine? I'm like, there's a lot of wines in here that are made in a very low intervention way. But it's just, again, that Instagram and like a lot of hype around it. And it's like with whiskey, as I said before, people can detect faults. Yeah. And they're big and they're obvious. They're in your face like, oh, that's the way it's meant to be. I'm like, no, that's not what it's meant to be. Because I remember once I was at a party years ago. Can't remember who the guy was. And he had this wine. I can't remember what it was, but I think it's called like Festival or October. It's basically like kind of like Beaujolais Nouveau, but not quite. It's a bit older. And he poured me a glass. He's like, oh, it's natural wine. I went, no, it's corked wine. He went, no, it's natural. You wouldn't understand. I went, no, it's corked. You don't understand. Yes. And he was like, no. And he just did this. He stared at me all night just doing this. I was like, I'm going to drink a Kronenberg and enjoy myself. And you're drinking a corked bottle of wine, which you can get replaced. Yes. There's a lot of wines out there that come out.
And that's sort of the extreme end of it, isn't it? Because I think the ones that are not quite as showy in that bracket can be wonderful. Yeah. But I think it is exactly as you said. It's labels. It's on trend. Yeah. It's those things it's
a fashion thing. It's like people don't ask for a tissue, they want a Kleenex. Yeah. And it's like there's so many great wines out there that are made in a very natural way. Yes. But they're clean and delicious. Yes. And they're really well made wines. Yeah. I just think there's this term for, oh, if you got something real funky. I'm like, there's another word I use with F that this wine actually is. It's not funky. And it's just like, it's frustrating, but it's also, again, people just don't quite know what they want.
Yeah.
And they found something they like. It's like people used to say, Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. Now the kids say, I want something natural, you got something funky. I'm just like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, give me a Bordeaux Indy. What wine would you pour when you want to impress another som? So maybe think about the som group that you do your tasting in. What do you guys like to...
It's when we do it, it's not like...
I'm not saying it's to impress,
no,
but
I know
like,
what you
do
mean,
you
but
like to...
it's more like, again, I
Yeah.
always make sure it's something that's a point of interest.
Yeah.
So it's like something that maybe they won't expect from me.
Okay, nice.
It's like play the bottle, not the person.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the way I like to go about it is, I kind of think, okay, what do people think I would drink and what have I been known for? And especially when it's been like champagne, we did a fizzy one, we did a sparkling wine one. And I was like, I've got all these wines I could bring, which would be amazing. But I'm going to bring like 40-year-old Bollinger. And people are going to be like, what on earth is that? And then that was it. It's just like something different.
Yeah.
I think that's a talking point, it's fun, and it's...
Exactly.
Yeah, it's point of interest. And I think there's too many times when people go to BYO events where they bring a bottle and they're like, let's bring a bottle to show off, as opposed to being like, bring a bottle that's delicious.
Yeah.
And that's why I have an event I hang out with my mates every Christmas. And it's called Laddie Christmas, but we're the least laddiest lads in the world. And it's quite funny. But we now, it got to the point where you go, we choose a restaurant, we choose somewhere to go to, and everyone BYOs. And everyone's got great cellars, but it's gone from the point of being like, all right, cool, what bottle can I show off, to being like, what have I got that's delicious and I want everyone to drink?
Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
Which is, I think that's the whole thing, like wine's for drinking and enjoying it, it's not for...
It's
like,
your principle of this place, right? It's how you put your wine list together as well.
It's just like...
Just for enjoying, having a good time. Yeah, having those memorable experiences. Do you think there are any myths that we need to debunk? So there's things like wine list pitfalls or myth of the second cheapest, not cheapest, sorry, but the second...
I didn't think it was the best value or
best value or the worst value, or something about the house wine conundrum. You know, is there anything that springs to mind, or the white wine can only go with fish, or those sorts of things?
That's it, it's when people pair things.
Yeah.
Like, I think people need to break it down and be like, realize you can drink anything you want and eat with anything you want. You know, it might not go, but if you just break down that barrier that you kind of built in your head, being like, I have to have this with fish.
Yeah.
You're like, no. That and that, because there's too much sulfites to get a sore head, I'm like, no, you've drank too much wine.
Yeah, I've got a whole thing on that one.
I find it funny when you see people with the mesh strain thing that's supposed to get rid of the sulfites.
Yeah.
I saw someone do that once. And I texted my mate that makes the wine. He was like, do us a favour. I was like, what is it? It's like, tell him that bottle's from me. I was like, go on, Dad. But it's just, I don't know, there's these things and there's these...
Yeah, they've sort of stuck, haven't they? The sulfites one is a fascinating one. I did a bit of research on that because I wanted to understand why do certain wines give hangovers, right? And it is more to do with the absolute rubbish that is involved in the mass wine production. And all of the fusel oils and
when it's a well-made wine, it's not full of crap.
Exactly.
And but also as well, when people look at it and you realise you drank 3 bottles of wine, you're like, that's probably also why.
That's also why you got it also, because apparently there's less than 1% of the population that have an allergy to sulfites, and it doesn't do that to them at all.
I think these days everyone has an allergy.
This is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I've got a story about an allergy, but I'll tell you later on.
Where would you recommend, other than the Palmerston, of course, in Edinburgh for food and wine?
Chateau?
Yes.
Your Honour?
Yep.
Timber Yard's great.
Yeah.
There's so many. I moved back to Edinburgh and I thought there was very few restaurants that had good wine lists.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to realise that there's a lot of good restaurants that have great wine lists. Like Finn and Great. Stu writes an amazing wine list.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because it's him that does it. He does the food, he does the wine. Like, you go down to Fisher's.
Yeah.
Like the special wine page they have there is amazing. The last time I drank Cheval Blanc 88 was at Fisher's. And it's £400 a bottle.
Wow.
And I was just like, we managed to convince a friend of ours who was there, and it was their birthday, that they should pay for it. And we'll pay for the fish and chips and they pay for the bottle of wine.
That's a bad deal.
Me and my mate were just like, it's going to work. And again, it was incredible.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've, for a long time, was just like, there's no because I came from London being like, yeah, London's the greatest place in the world, even though I hated it for a long time. And it has this amazing wine scene, whereas like now there's so many places in Edinburgh that has an amazing wine scene. There's so many places open up, and there is so many places to do different things. And
I think it's phenomenal now. I think it's never been better. I've been here for 25 years in Edinburgh, and I just think it's got better and better. And I started my wine journey at All Bar One. Now, at that time, 20 years ago, there wasn't really a lot of options around wine, and we thought we were kind of the bee's knees at the time with our wine list and, you know, having wine by the glass. But I think over the years, watching it progress, certainly in the last 10 years, has been quite outstanding.
Yeah,
I think. And more every year almost.
Oh yeah, things as well. I think there's a lot of new suppliers that come up here as well, and people become a bit more open. I think for quite a while, Edinburgh, or Scotland alone, had like a handful of suppliers that everyone used.
Yeah.
And now more people from out within Scotland are making a conscious effort to come up and be like, all right, we're going to host a tasting with like 4 different wine importers that don't come up here too often.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more people coming up being like, you know what, there's something going on up here.
Yeah.
And all they do is have a handful of accounts, and it gives them an excuse to come up, and then more and more people start like getting to know it.
Yeah, some good trade events now as
there
well
is,
happening up
there's
here.
some amazing ones.
Yeah, which is great. So, final round. Best alternatives to most common grapes. First one, Chardonnay.
It depends what you don't like about Chardonnay.
Okay,
but you're saying this in the
so this is from a consumer perspective. So say you come in and you're like, I only ever like to drink Chardonnay. Okay, okay, so I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, yes, but do you like the Chablis kind, or do you like the one
no,
that's
not at all.
No. But I think it's trying to give, if somebody always orders that, for me, I'll talk about me in this one. I love white Burgundy, like love. What else would
you drink? You drink Palpite.
Palpite?
Yeah, so it's a wine from Alentage, which is just outside, I think it's Alentage, just outside Lisbon.
Okay.
And it's made of like 4 indigenous grapes of Portugal, and it tastes like white Burgundy.
Does it?
That's the thing, like when people say Chardonnay, it's like, okay, but what about it? But if you say I like white Burgundy, and I poured it in so many restaurants, and I remember at the Harvard Arms we had it on in a Matic, and I poured it for someone that only drinks white Burgundy. Like, oh, what's this? And I was like, it's Portuguese. He's like, what on earth is that?
That's
and
great.
It's the one wine I poured it at our blind tastings we'd done before, and he was like, what is this? And I'm like, it's Portuguese.
Right, I'm going to have to watch that back to kind of get that, because I don't know that wine, and I'll write it down.
I'll show you.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Sauvignon Blanc.
What's the alternative to Sauvignon Blanc? Depends. I tell you what Sauvignon Blanc are people drinking?
What, sorry?
What Sauvignon Blanc are people drinking?
Let's go for an alternative to a New Zealand, classic New Zealand gooseberry.
Just get your big Viogniers out. It's like what I said.
The
mother half is like, I love aromatic Sauvignon Blanc, and I'm like, come on, drink some Viognier and see what happens. She's like, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well, there we go. There's a good alternative then. Just try something different.
I use that. There's this funny one as well when it comes to those grapes. People are like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And you're like, why do you not like it?
Yeah.
I was like, I can find you maybe a version of it.
Yeah.
That would taste completely different.
I think that's the point of having the conversation, isn't it? It's like, what is it about that thing you don't like?
Yeah, because
that gives you all the clues of where to take them next.
And that's what I say to people here. Is like, when people go, I don't like this, I'm like, tell me why you don't like it.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to tell you those exact reasons to why they like wine.
Yes.
You can go, bam, this is what you need to drink.
Yeah.
You can even turn around and say, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But you are going to like this.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing about wine, is that we don't all agree.
I am going to have to be like, Merlot from Bordeaux. What's your alternative?
I can't remember the last time I drank Merlot.
In a blend you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like a single varietal is not so often, right? Although there are some amazing, in fact, one of the wines I was going to bring for you today was one I had recently, which was a right bank. It was 100% Merlot. It was low intervention, and it was from Winecraft. And it was so good. It was so good.
Alex's wines from Keira winery in South Africa makes this amazing Merlot.
Okay.
It always has a little age to it.
Yeah.
And it is always knockout and so cheap.
Nice. Good. So you've just given me an alternative to French Bordeaux is South African Merlot. Yeah. Great.
We get there in the end.
Cabernet Sauvignon from
so good though.
Left Bank.
So good.
If somebody said to you, okay, I like that really well structured.
I go back. Do you want an alternative to it, or do you want to have like the same? Because you know what? There's some amazing Cab Sauv coming out of South Africa again.
Again, South
I think South Africa is like
okay.
one of those regions where I can,
Yeah.
like, if someone says I don't like something, you can find something that'll be like, okay, this is how it,
Yeah.
this is the reason you don't like it.
And this, how do you think South African Cabernet Sauvignon expresses itself differently to, say, like a left bank Bordeaux or something like that?
It's like Restless River does amazing straight Cab Sauv, and it's like beautiful. It's structured. It's got freshness to it.
Yeah.
But it's like unashamedly Cabernet Sauvignon.
Is it made for aging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like that's the thing. They are made for aging, and it's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's like when people say they don't like certain things about wine, you're like, hey, what about it do you not like? Because we can make sure you learn to like it. You find something you might like it.
Yeah.
And I always think the one with Bordeaux is people just think it's a bit poo-poo and like, oh, it's fancy people doing that. That was me.
Yeah. You were
2012.
once that guy. Okay, so here's one, Malbec.
Oh.
Are you laughing?
Nothing wrong with Malbec. I used to drink it. I told you this before. I always like to do the one where like you kind of trick people.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't like Malbec, but I drink this. And you're like, all right, cool. And you go and you're like, yeah, it's Malbec.
Yeah.
That's the best.
So, what's your favourite place for drinking Malbec then? You like a French Malbec or something?
Mm-hmm. I don't like Argentinian ones. It's just like, it was fun back in the day, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, it was very approachable, I think. And I think when you're sort of getting into wine, it can be those bolder, creamier,
That's why I said
fruity.
again,
Oh yeah, like you
big
mentioned
flavours.
that at the beginning, like the big flavors, and it helps you identify that that's what you like.
I drank an Argentinian Malbec at the kitchen 2010 or 11, and there was 4 of us. There's 4 or 5 of us. Basically, 2 of my mates were students. One of them worked at the Hotel de Vin with me, and we were just like, can we get this Malbec, please? And it was like 40 for a bottle of wine, and the guy was just like, sitting there on a lunch menu drinking this Malbec, and then at the end of the meal, my mate was like, oh, do you have any ice wine from like Canada, like Niagara Falls? And they were like, yeah, of course we do. Do you want some? I was like, well, I'll have a glass. And me and him was like, can we have another glass, please? Turned out it was 30 quid a glass, so we had no idea.
Oh, okay, so that's why I was quite happy on that one.
We were just like, you know when it's just like a little bit of knowledge?
Yeah.
Yeah, we screwed ourselves.
You screwed yourself.
I think
that's when the little bit of knowledge didn't work in your favour.
I think my 2 glasses of ice wine cost the same amount as my share of the bottle of wine and the lunch menu.
Yeah.
I was just like,
his eyes lit up. We're going to finish this section. Pinot Grigio.
I love Pinot Grigio.
Do you?
That's class.
Do you?
Yeah.
I haven't heard Pinot Grigio and its class together. So tell me, what is it that you like about Pinot Grigio?
Pinot Grigios that are made like, what is it? The Viromans make this amazing Pinot Grigio with a bit of skins to it. And
Nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It tastes like raw almonds.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Ooh.
it's stunning.
So Pinot Grigio's probably got a bad rap, doesn't it? Because of all the mass-produced Pinot Grigio that ends up on wine lists and pubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, it's mass made and it's just
And that's
like
probably what's happened to
direct
Malbec
press.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like we get people that make good Pinot Grigios and like Pinot Gris and all that, it's class. So we get people that order Craven Pinot Gris.
Okay.
And they like, and it's skin contact. It says the word skin contact on the wine list. They go, why is it red? I'm like, it's
yeah, because it's pink, isn't it? It's a pink.
But it's like
grape.
a proper dark
Yeah.
red. The
Yeah.
skins in it. It's like
Yeah.
6 days skins, and
Yeah.
they get thrown off of it because they think Pinot Grigios are white.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
Cause I remember, and the first time I had.
That blew my mind actually when I found out about that, when I learned it.
I was eating at Vigianti in London. I can't remember the name of the producer, but I remember the guy pouring it for us. It was me, James Snowdon, and I was like, what is this? It was like this purpley skinsy thing, the pinky skinsy thing. And I was like, this is insane. It's super savory. I was like, what is it? And he's like, it's PG. I was like, oh my days. I was like, what have you just done to me? And like this, again, there have been amazing wines out there that I've had that are just.
This is good
and
to dispel
a
myths.
well-made Pinot Grigio is a nice wine.
Yeah. And like you said, this is all done to dispel myths because we have these misconceptions. Yeah. It's the same. I was dissing Prosecco earlier, and some people love some great Proseccos.
People love Prosecco.
Prosecco.
Prosecco is what we like to call it.
Last one is Pinot Noir.
Who doesn't like Pinot Noir?
No, it's not necessarily that they don't like it.
Saint Laurent.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that one.
So it's just like a slightly thicker skinned Pinot, a bit more earthier. Ostrich. I remember when I first tried Saint Laurent again. It was at Hunan in London, and it was Rosenberg from Pitnar, like a 08.
Yeah.
And I was like, what on earth is this? And like they poured it, and I was like, they're like, it's sound. I was like, yeah, what is that? And that's when I kind of went through a bit of like an Austrian thing, and it was just like had this like it's got everything you want in Pinot, but it's a bit more like rough, like rustic. It's class.
Nice.
And again, it's value.
Yeah, good value in the glass.
It's hard to get good value.
You get some great Pinot Noirs in Germany as well.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
So, thank you very much.
Anytime.
Was there anything else you wanted to
No.
speak about? No?
What do
good?
you want to rant about?
I enjoyed it very much.
Cheers.
Thank you, James. That was wonderful.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you so much.